right, and we're back to chapter 0, all space, all time, simple stuff. No, not really. You won't even understand it. We don't understand it. It's crazy. It's hard to grasp, but we have come to understand it more. Just like music theory. Maybe you know do, re, mi, or your basic things, but you don't know it as well as a jazz musician that's just really hot stuff. Or, you know, I can speak a little Spanish, but not as well as someone that grew up with it, or, you know, something like that. So we'll come to evolve our knowledge. What's in the universe? I don't know. Space, time, matter, light, you know, that's what we find. Maybe dark matter, dark energy. How do we know evidence? People have been working on this for a long time. And come about 300 years ago, we started getting really good equipment, and our knowledge has grown since then because our evidence has grown. We challenge ourselves. What do we find out? Well, let me just mention this. A universe, like a unicycle, is a bicycle with one wheel, right? A unicorn is a horse with one horn, and if you have one, let me see that. That'd be pretty cool, right? So uni is one. Verse, kind of like one verse. Think about it. I don't know. I'll play it. And maybe a universe is just this one thing, and there's stuff in it, whatever, and there's this universe, whatever it is. But maybe there's other universes. I mean, maybe there's another universe out here with stuff in it. Maybe it's bigger. Maybe I don't know. Maybe, right? Maybe there's another universe that's right on top of ours, but somehow the blue and the red don't ever connect. We can't collide. I can walk right through it. In my universe, if it's blue, or I guess red, then I'm walking through the blue. So, you know, these are interesting ideas. And actually, as much as we know now, we're starting to be able to kind of entertain this or wonder about this nature of space and time, which is really nutty stuff. Anyway, it makes for super good science fiction. It's fun. It's possible. We certainly don't know. We do not have the evidence yet. But we've got some interesting evidence that now you'll hear more and more talk about a multiverse or a parallel universe, maybe one that is woven between each other. Interesting, right? But don't spend too much time, because you've got to make a distinction between science fiction and science that's based on evidence. So a multiverse. That's all I'm going to say about this. Let's talk about our universe, where we live, what we can experience, what we can gather evidence about. So let's talk about our universe and our universe now. What we see, what we measure. And let's see, it could be this whole whiteboard is the universe. It could be, maybe I'll draw the universe. What shape should I draw it? That's an interesting question, and we actually get into that a little bit. So let me take a look at this guy here. If you can you see that there? Think of this as space and time. This is a crazy idea. Don't think too hard. But if I put something there, maybe a star or something, I've warped the space and time. So now if I put something else there, it rolls towards it and it seems to attract it. So there's some weird stuff about warped space-time. Einstein, about 100 years ago, 1916, came up with this idea called general relativity. So it's got these crazy ideas, and we can sort of talk about the warping of space-time, but that's too much right now. So we'll come back to these ideas. Let's get back to what we know about our universe now. Well, we don't, there's weird things. But I'm going to draw it. But I don't want to draw it as a circle. I don't even want to draw it. And the minute I draw it, I've made some mistakes. Here are some mistakes here. This is key. One is, there is no edge. There's no boundary. There's a U though. There's no boundary. There's no edge. There's no end. As best we know, we're still looking, right? No end. So, but I can't draw it without drawing that unless I just go like that. So whatever. I'm going to think of it like universe. Also, where's the center? In my drawing, there's kind of a center, right? But if there's no edge, then where's the center? Imagine that you're a really tiny, tiny insect, a flea, something smaller on here, and you look this way and that way, and it looks like there's no end. But even further, this idea of warp space-time, maybe there is no end. And so these are crazy ideas. Again, I warned you, they're crazy ideas. Don't let them bother you much, but this hopefully lets them tickle you like crazy. There is no center. That's how we see it now. That's how what the evidence shapes up, and there's a lot of details here. It's not just someone making it up, right? So, I mean, it bothers some because it's so weird. It doesn't really make sense, and scientists had a hard time with it too. And still, if that's not your expertise, you can have a hard time. So there's no boundary. There's no center. And that's just crazy. But surprisingly, we're going to see a little bit later, the evidence shows there seems to have been a beginning. All right, cool. So what's in this universe? Let's take a quick look. Well, as we look out into the sky and we stand outside, you'll see with our shepherd just stand and look out. Again, I mentioned, you just see what the naked eye can see. But as people develop better equipment, telescopes, etc., we certainly come to realize that we're on a floating ball, a world called Earth, right? So we know there's that. And as we look out, we realize that things aren't going around us. We'll be talking about all of this. But in fact, Earth is going around a star called Sun. Moon is going to be going around our Earth. I always lose my moon. And there are other planets. We call that a solar system. And it wasn't until about 100 years ago that people realized that, in fact, we live. Initially, it seemed like this. We're at the center, and everything else goes around us. That's the way it feels. Very reasonable. In fact, we thought it was a flat Earth, right? So that's the way it seemed that the universe was. And until about 100 years ago, right, early 1900s, people thought we existed in this sea of stars. Well, it turns out that in that sea of space and time, we're in an island called a galaxy. And there are many galaxies. Many, many galaxies. So what we've found as an introduction is that there are lots of galaxies. Okay, so let's do galaxies. And galaxies can have different shapes. This is chapter 12. We get into the details. Kind of spiraling galaxies. You can have irregular. You can have some small and some big. But what you do tend to have are groups of galaxies. You can have some that are kind of more like a football. You have some that are barred spirals. Anyway, don't worry about it now. But you see these galaxies, again, some big, but a lot of small, very small ones. So not very bright. And what we have in these galaxies, we have these clusters of galaxies. Or galaxy cluster or group. And then groups of groups, even called a supercluster. We don't need to go too much. So, as it turns out, only known for about 100 years, we're in these galaxies. And what is a galaxy and what's in a galaxy? Let's take a look. I'll draw some galaxies over here. We do a different group for different color. So we have a galaxy is an island of stars. It's an island of stars, common way to describe it. Some smaller, some medium, some huge. I mean, they're all huge. They're all huge. But how about? So let's play with this a little bit. How many? Well, let's just say that a small galaxy would say, let's say, 1 billion stars. Now, I think there could be smaller, but as they're far away, if there aren't that many stars, they're not going to give off as much light as the bigger ones. So it'll be harder to see. We'll need better evidence, better equipment to see those smaller ones. A medium, what would a medium galaxy be? Something like 100 billion stars in that island of stars. And then there could be huge ones, and you can think something like 1,000 billion stars or 1 trillion stars. So that's what's in a galaxy. This is our universe. How many galaxies does it have? 2. No, just kidding. So how many does our universe have? Remember, we're still evolving our knowledge. We're still learning and exploring. A simple answer that's a nice number, because we're not going to worry about exact numbers. They might be changing. We're not using them. We're going to say about 100 billion stars. Oh, excuse me. I'm not talking stars, right? That's what's inside a galaxy, right? So it's really easy to confuse these. I'm talking one galaxy has like 100 billion stars arranged. The universe has not 100 billion stars, but 100 billion galaxies. Now hold on. We've done some more research. People have been talking maybe 170 billion galaxies is a better number. But recent evidence shows that this could be 10 times as much. Maybe, question mark, 2,000 billion galaxies or 2 trillion galaxies. So we're still exploring. So maybe an answer, if you said 100 billion, you wouldn't be at least too far crazy. There's a lot of galaxies. Each galaxy has stars. Now what about our galaxy? Our galaxy was given the name the Milky Way galaxy. And the word galaxy is the same root as the word gallon, which is milk. And if you go out in a dark sky, you might see a strip. It's kind of fuzzy, almost like cloud-like, like spilled milk, as the Greek story tells it. So the spilled milk of Hera, the Milky Way, that's what it was. And it wasn't until 100 years ago they go, oh my gosh, the Milky Way is an island swimming in a sea of many, many islands. And in our island, it has about, you want a nice easy number? Then say about 100 billion galaxies? No, that's one galaxy, so stars. You want to be better? Maybe 200 to 400 is kind of where we're thinking. So maybe, if you want to be picky on my exams, if you have the general sense, that's fine. You don't need the exact number. So maybe 300 billion stars. And we're going to talk about a billion afterwards. So that's our one galaxy. And oh, by the way, this says the Milky Way galaxy. It's wrong. I love it. This is a spiral of stars, maybe 100 billion, maybe 300. Stars fairly recent here. We've done more, gained more evidence, better evidence, where people agree that there's a bar of stars and the spiral comes off. It's a part spiral. That's fairly new knowledge, and we'll keep exploring. We'll keep exploring. So we're not done. Sometimes one answer, if you look at old websites, you might say, how many moons does Jupiter have? Oh, 16. That's going to be old. How many moons does Pluto have? None. That's pretty darn old. 1. That's also old. So we'll see. Okay, so the universe now has groups of galaxies, total of maybe 100 billion, maybe 2 trillion or 2,000 billion. That'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Our galaxy that we live in has maybe 100 billion, so 100 billion, 100 billion, gives you at least a sense. Stars, and so stars. Well, what are stars? And what else is there? Stars, we're going to talk about in the next video. Have stuff going around it. So stars and the stuff going around the star. An interesting little bit is about maybe half, as best our evidence says right now, maybe we'll get new evidence. There's 2 stars that go around each other. That's very common. Maybe half of them have a binary star system. But we call that a solar or star system. Okay. And then finally, what about our solar system? Let's see, what color do I need? I need red. So let's go over here. Our solar system, I like to call it our hood. It's the place we could send robotic probes and people don't like. That's what you say. Our solar system has how many stars? 1. How many planets? For most of human history, only the planets that you could see with your naked eye. Then discovered more. Then we added Pluto. Then we kicked Pluto out. Bad behavior. Now what are you going to do? 8 planets. What else are out there? So yes, there is one star in our solar system, the sun, but it's not the only one, because come to find out, those little dots in the sky, you can't hold them. They're enormous, like our sun. So the name of our star we named Sun, but it's just one of so many in our galaxy, and so many in all the galaxies. A universe with 100 billion, maybe 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy with maybe more or less 100 billion stars. Each star with stuff going around it. Planets. What goes around planets? You'll see how many. Lots of moons. And what we call leftovers, comets, asteroids, debris, all orbiting our star named Sun. And this is what's in it. So we know this place really well because it's close to home. It's our hood. We're finding out now, think of 1996, where we really started to find out, and now gaining more and more evidence that we would have guessed all these galaxies with all these stars, that each star might have planets also, which might have moons, etc. But they're so far away, which begs the question, how far? They're so far away that we can't see them, though we're pushing that with the technology. Thank you, engineers, computer scientists, etc. So that's what's out there. And there's dust, and sometimes stars get kicked out of the galaxy. Sometimes planets get kicked out of their solar system. They just coast around, aimless, not quite sure, and then they come back to school and change their major. So, you know, what's bigger? Universe, solar system, galaxy? How many are there? About, roughly. You should know these things. Okay. Are there other solar systems? Yes, we can say that now. But we couldn't say that until 1996. We thought so. Makes sense. Just because it makes sense, or we want it to be true, or we believe it, or, you know, somewhere our family said it was true, or, you know, whatever, doesn't mean we have the evidence. Until we have the evidence, we say we really think so, but we're not sure yet. Right? Like parallel universes, multi-universes. Are there parallel universes? I don't know. I like the idea. Doesn't mean it's true. I like it. It's cool. It just as long as people are nice, or whatever those things are. So, okay. That's what is in the universe. No edge, no boundary. Hold on a second. Let me grab something. I want to check something here real quick. So we're here, right here. Now I want to go to this book, right? And go to the book and kind of flip through it. I put it in a binder here. Let's see, chapter 0. And I've got this list of stuff. And at the end, I'm just going to tell you now, there's a flashcard guide. So how do you remember this? You start as you read. We're still not done with the chapter, but as I'm reading, that stuff's going to leave your brain. Just like a sponge dries up, a wet sponge. It's going to leave your brain. So if you make these flashcards and use them, you'll remember these numbers. There's about 100 billion galaxies, maybe 10 times more galaxies. Individual islands of stars. In each galaxy, there's about 100 billion stars, some more, some less. With each star, there are solar systems, so we're getting smaller and smaller with planets. Is there life? Yeah, we're part of the galaxy. We know there's at least one, but we want to know if there's life elsewhere. It'd be nice if it was nice. It doesn't have to be nice, so we got all these cool science fiction movies. And I think that's good. I want to close with saying we're going to pick up here now on how far apart, how much is a billion, and how far apart are things. We'll talk about this expanding universe, dark matter and dark energy next, and then how it all came to be. Cool. See you in the next video.